Welcome back to another edition of Atomic Diecast, and today we're going to review another Ferrari. If you recall from the last episode, I did a Ferrari F512. It was a casting from 1998. And I also mentioned that Hot Wheels did get the license back to produce Ferrari castings, which is, I think, great. They've been missed for the past 10 years. I'm not a huge Ferrari fan in the real world. It's a car that I would never be able to afford. As I've said before, I'm more into muscle cars and drag racing and stuff. But I like the lines of Ferrari. And when I was a kid, one of my favorite Hot Wheels castings was the race bait, which was a 308. And I also watched a lot of Magnum PIs, so of course, for that reason, I was drawn to those cars. Anyways, Hot Wheels bringing back the Ferrari line kind of moved me to go pick out a lot of the ones in my collection that I have unboxed. And to my surprise, over the years, even though they haven't made them in 10, I've got about 40 unboxed Ferraris. And I decided to go ahead and get another display case for my Hot Wheels room, and I'm going to make a display dedicated to Ferrari. And I don't collect a lot of different castings, in terms of dedicated ones that I go out and purchase. The bulk of my collection in terms of single models are Camaros. I've got over 300 different Camaros. I collect the 55 Bel Air Gasser. I've got, I think at last check, 100 and some odd of those, many of which are customs, which I've done. And I also collect funny cars. The older ones with the flip top, pretty much from the 70s all the way up through the mid 90s. Anyways, I've decided that I'm going to do one for Ferrari, and I of course wanted to go out and get the three cars that they've got for this year, which is the 365, the F40. And I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Competizione, I guess. I don't know. That's probably completely mispronounced. It's essentially a competitive or competition version of the F40. And then the other supercar, which for the life of me, I cannot remember. It starts with an S. I've got all three. All three are red. And this one is the one I like the most. These are also pretty hard to find. Scalpers are grabbing these things left and right off the shelf. And I was lucky enough to find all three in a Target, but they've been few and far between in terms of how many I've been able to find. Like I said, a lot of folks are buying them up and scalping them on eBay, which it's unfortunate, but that is kind of the way it works. And anyways, I was able to get these for, I believe, $1.09 or whatever Target charges. So this car is, of the three that they did this year, my favorite. And it's red, of course. It's Ferrari. There's some features on it that I really, really like. They did acrylic headlights, which I think is a neat addition. Many times, as you know, they just paint the headlights on, which are fine. I mean, it's better than no detail, which they sometimes do. But on this one, they did the acrylic, and the acrylic is essentially an extension of the interior glass. It just flows down under the body, and it that piece sticks out on each side through holes that are cut in the casting itself. And the back has a taillight section which is formed from the black interior. So that's pretty much how the car is put together. I think it's well done. The red paint is pretty good on this one. I mean, it's typical mainline. There are minor flaws if you hold it up to the light and look carefully, but bubbling, not chipping, or anything like that. And I shouldn't even say bubble. There are no paint bubbles. It's just paint rippling. It's just not as smooth as you would get on like an RLC car. But I think the delivery's pretty nice. They did put Ferrari logos on each front fender. Nice color contrast there with the yellow and the horse. Interior's black. The windows are not smoked so much that you can't see the interior, but it doesn't stand out a lot either. The wheels are traditional 5SP or 5-spoke Hot Wheels. They're a little small for this car. I wish they'd done a little bit taller profile, but anyways, it still is a clean looking car. And again, I got to remind myself it is just a mainline. You're not going to get the bling on a dollar car that you would a $25 or $35 RLC. I won't get into all the history of these cars. I mean, I'm not a Ferrari expert. I mean, I could look it all up, but off the top of my head, I don't know a lot about them. So with that said, I'm going to read the back of the card. The Ferrari F40 Competizione, and I'm not even going to try to say it. Comp is what I'll leave it at that. The Ferrari F40 Comp is an unrestricted version of the F40 LM introduced in 1989. In turn, a racing version of the Ferrari F40 designed for a customer request. The F40 Comp uses a more powerful 2.9 liter F12 OB twin turbocharged V8 producing nearly 691 horsepower, made into a 5-speed manual with a reported top speed of 228 miles an hour. 10 chassis were built, the first 2 cars designated F40 LM, with the remaining 8 chassis given to the Comp moniker as they felt the LM moniker was too restrictive. So a little bit of history about the car. Thus far, they've brought out the one that you see here, which is just red. They are bringing out, from what I've read, a Hot Wheels exotic version of this in yellow, and that will have gray 5SP wheels. And beyond that, I have seen that it is going to be out next year in the 2026 series. It will be, once again, part of the HW Exotics line. It'll be done in black. And I also heard that they're going to do it as a Super Treasure Hunt, again in black. That'll be nice. A very hard card to find. Super Treasure Hunts aren't easy as it is, but I believe with all of the hoopla around Ferrari, that one's going to go for a lot of money. If you don't find it on the peg, I expect that to be a pretty much scalp car next year. So with all that said, we're going to do a roll test and see how it performs on the track. All right, it's track time. We'll send it down 3 times. Take an average. This car's pretty wide. I got a feeling it's going to rub the edges, but maybe not. Here you go. Okay, 2.5. There's a little bit of drag. I think the front bumper may be hidden. There's definitely pull to the left. And I think when it does that, the black plastic overhang bumper grabs a little bit. Number 2, 2.5. It's not a very good roller. I don't think the wheels are that great either, but there's, like I said, a little drag. 2.5. So I'm not even sure I'd call this average. I'd say a little below average. Not a great roller, but a beautiful design, a neat casting, one that's sought after. And if you can find this in the store, go ahead and get it. So thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe.